Sir Peter Maxwell Davies CHCBE was an English composer and conductor. In 2004 he was made Master of the Queen's Music. As a student at both the University of Manchester and at the Royal Manchester College of Music, he formed a group dedicated to contemporary music, the New Music Manchester, with fellow students Harrison Birtwistle, Alexander Goehr, Elgar, Howarth and John Ogdon. His compositions include 8 works for the stage, from the monodrama 8 Songs for a Mad King, which shocked the audience in 1969, to Kommilitonen, first performed in 2011. He wrote 10 symphonies, the first from 1973 to 76, the 10th in 2013. As a conductor, he was artistic director of the Dartington International Summer School from 1979 to 1984. From 1992 to 2002 he was associate conductor, composer, with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, a position he also held with the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra. Early life and education. Davies was born in Salford, Lancashire, the son of Thomas and Hilda Davies. At age 4, after being taken to a performance of Gilbert and Sullivan's The Gondoliers, he told his parents that he was going to be a composer. He took piano lessons and composed from an early age. As a 14-year-old, he submitted a composition called Blue Ice to the radio programme Children's Hour in Manchester. BBC producer Trevor Hill showed it to resident singer and entertainer Violet Carson, who said, "He's either quite brilliant or mad." Conductor Charles Groves nodded his approval and said, "I'd get him in." Davies' rise to fame began under the careful mentorship of Hill, who made him the programme's resident composer and introduced him to various professional musicians both in the UK and Germany. After attending Lee Boys Grammar School, Davies studied at the University of Manchester and at the Royal Manchester College of Music, where his fellow students included Harrison Birtwistle, Alexander Goehr, Elgar, Howarth and John Ogdon. Together they formed New Music Manchester, a group committed to contemporary music. After graduating in 1956, he studied on an Italian government scholarship for a year with Goffredo Petrassi in Rome. In 1959, Davies became director of music at Cirencester Grammar School. He left in 1962 after securing a Harkness Fellowship at Princeton University, that he studied with Roger Sessions, Milton Babbitt and Earl Kim. He then moved to Australia, where he was composer-in-residence at the Elgar Conservatorium of Music, University of Adelaide, 1965–66. Career. In 1966, Davies returned to the United Kingdom and moved to the Orkney Islands, initially to Hoy in 1971, and later to Sandy. Orkney hosts the St Magnus Festival, an arts festival founded by Davies in 1977. He frequently used the festival to premiere new works. Davies was artistic director of the Dartington International Summer School from 1979 to 1984. From 1992 to 2002 he was associate conductor, composer, with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, a position he also held with the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra, and he has conducted a number of other prominent orchestras, including the Philharmonia, the Cleveland Orchestra, the Boston Symphony Orchestra and the Leipzig Gewandhaus Orchestra. In 2000 Davies was artist-in-residence at the Barossa Music Festival when he presented some of his music theatre works and worked with students from the Barossa Spring Academy. Davies is also composer laureate of the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, for whom he wrote a series of 10 Strathclyde concertos. He was awarded a number of honorary doctorates, including Honorary Doctor of Music from Oxford University in July 2005. He had been president of Making Music since 1989. Davies was made a CBE in 1981 and knighted in 1987. He was appointed Master of the Queen's Music in March 2004, but, in a break from the tradition of lifetime tenure, his appointment was limited to 10 years. He was made a Freeman of the City of Salford August 2004. On the 25th of November 2006, he was appointed an Honorary Fellow of Canterbury Christ Church University out of service in Canterbury Cathedral. He was Visiting Professor of Composition at the Royal Academy of Music, and in 2009 became an Honorary Fellow of Homerton College, Cambridge. Davies also received an honorary doctorate from Heriot-Watt University in 2002. Davies was one of the first classical composers to open a music download website, Maxw.His. The site became temporarily unavailable after the arrest in June 2007 of Michael Arnold on fraud charges arising from money missing from Davies' business accounts. In October 2008, Arnold and his wife Judith were charged with the theft of almost £450,000. In November 2009, Michael Arnold was sentenced to 18 months in jail. Maxw.His was relaunched earlier in 2009. Davies was known as an enfant terrible of the 1960s, whose music frequently shocked audiences and critics. One of his overtly theatrical and shocking pieces was 8 Songs for a Mad King, in which he utilized musical parody by taking a canonical piece of music, Handel's Messiah, and subverting it. Personal life. Davies was openly homosexual. In 2007, a controversy arose regarding his intended civil partnership when he was told that the ceremony could not take place on the Sandy Light Railway. He later abandoned his plans. He remained with his partner Colin Parkinson until the relationship ended in 2012. He was known informally as Max, after his middle name Maxwell. Davies was appointed member of the Order of the Companions of Honor in the 2014 New Year Honors for services to music. He died from leukemia on the 14th of March 2016, aged 81, at his home in Orkney. Political views. Davies had a keen interest in environmentalism. He wrote the Yellow Cake Review, a collection of cabaret-style pieces that he performed with actress Eleanor Bron, in protest at plans to mine uranium ore in Orkney. It is from this suite of pieces that his famous instrumental chanson triste interlude Farewell to Stromness is taken. The slow, walking bass line that pervades the farewell portrays the residents of the village of Stromness having to leave the homes as a result of uranium contamination. The review was first performed at the St. Magnus Festival in Orkney by Bron, with the composer at the piano, in June 1980. Stromness, the second largest town in Orkney, would have been 2 miles from the uranium mine's core, and the centre most threatened by pollution, had the proposed development been approved. In the run-up to the Iraq War in 2003, he marched in protest, and he was an outspoken critic of the Labour governments of both Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. Davies' appointment to the post of Master of the Queen's Music was initially controversial, as he was a Republican. However, he confirmed in 2010 that close contact with the Queen had converted him to monarchism. He told the Daily Telegraph, "I have come to realise that there is a lot to be said for the monarchy. It represents continuity, tradition and stability." He was a member of the British Academy of Songwriters, Composers and Authors, and the Incorporated Society of Musicians. Music. Davies was a prolific composer who wrote in a variety of styles and idioms over his career, often combining disparate styles in one piece. Early works include the Trumpet Sonata, written while he was at college, and his first orchestral work, prolation, written while under the tutelage of Petrassi. Early works often use serial techniques, sometimes combined with medieval and Renaissance compositional methods. Fragments of plain song are often used as basic source material to be adapted and developed. Pieces from the late 1960s take up these techniques and tend towards the experimental and to have a violent character. These include Revelation and Fall, the music theatre pieces 8 songs for Imad King and Versailles Icons, and the opera Taverner. Taverner, again, shows an interest in Renaissance music, taking as its subject the composer John Taverner, and consisting of parts resembling Renaissance forms. The orchestral piece St. Thomas Wake shows this interest and is a particularly obvious example of Davies' polystylism. It combines a suite of foxtrots, a pavane by John Bull and Davies' own music. Many works from this period were performed by the Pierrot Players, which Davies founded with Harrison Birtwistle in 1967. They were reformed as the Fires of London in 1970, then disbanded in 1987. World's Bliss indicated a move towards a more integrated and somewhat more restrained style, anticipating the calm which Davies would soon find at his new home in Orkney. Some have drawn a comparison between this later style and the music of Jean Sibelius. His present style is regarded as much more accessible, to the point where Alexander Goehr no longer regarded him as a modernist. After his move to Orkney, Davies often drew on Orcadian and more generally Scottish themes in his music, and has sometimes set the words of Orcadian writer George Mackay Brown. He has written a number of other operas, including The Martyrdom of St. Magnus, The Lighthouse, and The Doctor of Maidfai. The ambitious, nihilistic parable Resurrection, which includes parts for a rock band, was nearly 20 years in gestation. Davies was interested in classical forms, completing his first symphony in 1976. He wrote 10 numbered symphonies, a symphonic cycle of the symphonies Nos. 1 to 7, a symphony No. 8 titled The Antarctic, a 9th symphony, a 10th symphony, a Sinfonia Concertante, as well as the series of 10 Strathclyde concertos for various instruments. In 2002, he began work on a series of string quartets for the Maggini String Quartet to record on Naxos Records. The whole series was completed in 2007, and was viewed by the composer as a novel in 10 chapters. Davies' lighter orchestral works have included Mavis in Las Vegas and An Orkney Wedding with Sunrise, as well as a number of theatre pieces for children and a good deal of music with educational purposes. Additionally, he wrote the scores for Ken Russell's films The Devils and The Boyfriend. His violin concerto No. 2 received its UK premiere on the 8th of September 2009 in the Royal Albert Hall, London, as part of the 2009 season of the Proms. On the 13th of October 2009, his string sextet The Last Island was first performed by the Nash Ensemble at Wigmore Hall in a 75th birthday concert for the composer. His Symphony No. 10 had its world premiere at the Barbican Hall, London on the 2nd of February 2014. Throstle's Nest Junction, Opus 181, and A Spell for Green Corn, The MacDonald Dances both had the London premiere at the BBC's Maida Vale Studios, broadcast live on Radio 3 with the composer's participation on the 19th of June 2014, in celebration of his 80th birthday. The music was played by the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and presented by Petroc Trelawney. Career highlights: 1953–58 studied in Manchester and Rome. 1967 together with Harrison Birtwistle founded the contemporary music touring ensemble The Pierrot Players. 1971 moved to Hoy in the Orkney Islands. 1977 founded the St Magnus Festival. 1987 knighted. 1987–96 wrote the 10 Strathclyde concertos for the Scottish Chamber Orchestra. 2001–07 wrote a cycle of 10-string quartets commissioned by Naxos. 2004 appointed Master of the Queen's Music. 2008 became patron of the Manchester University Music Society. 2009 became an honorary Fellow of Homerton College, Cambridge. 2014 appointed to the Order of Companions of Honour. 2015 awarded the Gold Medal of the Royal Philharmonic Society. Selected compositions. Recordings. Naxos Quartets, Maggini Quartet, Naxos 5 CD set 8.505225. Mass Misopavula, 2 organ pieces, 2 motets, Hyperion CD A67454, Magnificat Nunc Dimittis and O Sacrum Convivium, Delphian D CD 34037, Symphonies 1-6, BBC Philharmonic, Scottish Chamber Orchestra, Philharmonia, Royal Philharmonic Composer, Collins Classics, Avenue Maris Stella, Image Reflection, Shadow, Runes from a Holy Island, Fires of London, Composer, Unicorn Kanchana. Notable students.